What is up, guys? It is MetaTalk episode 3. Mr. Run Up here. Got my co-host, Herman the Goat.
What's up?
And our special guest today, the Iceman himself, Mr. Luis. Go ahead, Luis, and break us off real quick as before we start this segment. Tell us a little about yourself. Tell us about how you got into TCG and just tell the community where you're from and what you're about.
All right. How you guys doing? My name is Luis Perez, literally known as the Iceman, or even the Omnicut guy, whichever you guys heard first. Logan has given me the cool nickname of Iceman. I'm from Connecticut, East Coast. The first TCG I actually played was Yu-Gi-Oh! I played that game for a while up until 2017. I would say around 2015 I had a break because I just didn't like the angle where the game was going. 2017, the beginning of the year, my friend told me, one of your favorite decks, Yang Zings, has this really cool deck. You should probably play at the next regional. So I played it at the next regional after not playing the game, didn't know the meta. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go and have some fun. I went undefeated with it, which is really cool. Won the regional. The thing that kind of sucked about it was I shortly quit the game after that because the game started becoming a whole, I'm going to stop you from playing the game. And I didn't like the way the game was taken.
Yeah.
Yep. Because my deck essentially was, I put 6 negates on board and now you can't play the game.
That's fair enough. That's a big reason why we kind of, disembarked from actually Yu-Gi-Oh! A long time ago. We're from that era as well. But it's crazy that a lot of people from Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic are coming over and playing MetaZoo. I'm really kind of curious how you got into MetaZoo. So tell the world how Iceman got into MetaZoo.
All right, so one of my friends, Matt, he hit me up one day. He was like, yo, you should check out this game called MetaZoo. And so I looked at it. I was like, kind of looks a little weird, I wasn't really feeling it at first. And then he just kept kind of tossing me little messages about it. And I was like, you know what? I'll check it out. I hit up my local shop, Dr. Cards and Gaming. And there he set me up with Dave. Dave built me a deck, and then I started playing at locals. And I was like, this game's actually pretty cool and a lot of fun. And it started growing on me. And then I started getting those retro vibes when Pokemon first came out. And from there, it was locked in. And I would say this was maybe 2 or 3 months before Dallas.
Oh, wow. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Well, Luis, to ask you further on this, kind of going back to the Caster Cup, we have some questions for you. So what did you think about the structure of the Caster Cup?
The structure of the Caster Cup, in the beginning, I feel like it kind of ran its course because we started late. But overall, I had a lot of fun at the Casters Cup. I think what they did for the community was really great. And I'm really excited for the future events we're going to get in 2023.
Okay. And then kind of leading on that, I'll let Herman kind of jump into some additional questions, but tournament preparation questions, excuse me. Think back to when you were prepping for this, just kind of tell us what you were training for, how many hours you maybe were play testing. I'm curious from a Yu-Gi-Oh! Standpoint, because I understand that we play test a lot, but from you as a player going into this tournament, what you did to prepare for this.
What I did, so I actually got one of my friends, his name Josh, into the game. Since the event was at Dallas, I knew he lived in Dallas, and I was like, yo, Josh, is it cool if I stay at your place for a weekend? And he was like, yeah, and then he was just curious what it was for, so I told him about the game. I didn't hear from him for 3 days. And then the day after that, I heard him. He was like, I want to play in the Casters Cup. Let's start playing. So from there, I had my playtesting buddy. And I mean, he went through all of the cards. So the first mission for him was to beat Water. Because at the time, Water was a really strong deck. Then Wilderness came out. So testing-wise, the deck had to beat Water before it could beat everything else. And that's when we started messing around with Omnicook. And with lots of playtesting with Omnicook, playing against Water, playing against Lightning, playing against Cosmic, whenever any deck list was posted on the Caster Society website, we would build that deck, play test it against our deck, and we're like, our deck is still beating this deck really consistently. This is the deck we're going to be playing for Dallas. So it was just a lot of grinding, a lot of play testing. He didn't come from a card game background at all. I think he placed 34th after the event, which I'm really proud of him for. And to get where we were, him not having any conditions from playing other card games, I think was very helpful because we both saw things in different perspectives, and that helped round it out our deck.
Nice.
Were there any rulings or cards that caught you by surprise y'all didn't see coming?
I don't think there was really any rulings. A lot of the time, what really came up was just like the toxic water interaction, because toxic water gets removes current traits, not traits you gain. So that was something that kind of popped up a lot. But outside of that, all the interactions were fine.
So I'm curious with the OmniCook. I know they had a huge problem because I had a lot of experience playing that when the deck first dropped when I won the New Year's tournament. Kate, who got second place, kind of pioneered that deck. How'd y'all get around decks that could defend with OmniCook?
So we use Morpheus for that. That's the fun card that we use. So the general concept of the deck is we attack with OmniCook. If OmniCook can't attack, or there's like a big threat in the way, like a Kets, for example, we use Morpheus to put it to sleep. We also have like Alaskan Vortex, and then we also have combo cards like Llama Lake Monster. I call it Shark. Shark helps put things into range for OmniCook to kill. So that's usually how we got around threats.
Very interesting. I like the Morpheus. I was curious to see how that would work around it. Flood the Earth not being a huge drawback for y'all was strong because there wasn't going to be as many water players. I know I only played a few. I know people who didn't play any water deck during that whole tournament. You know, it's crazy. Did you end up keeping the same deck during?
Go ahead. You can finish.
Did you change your deck at all in top 32?
So in tournament, funny enough, I actually played against 2 water players, and Flood's not a big deal because you just play around the Flood. You establish 1 or 2 OmniCooks and a Shark, and you can generally play around the rest of their board for the rest of the game. In terms of top 32, I didn't really change my deck much. It was really the most standard deck. I also didn't really have many cards to change my deck around because they did that ruling change right before Blitz started, where you couldn't share cards anymore. So that kind of like hurt me in that aspect.
Yeah, that was a surprise for quite a few teammates. No,
yeah,
I didn't hand it off to him immediately.
I have to ask as well, Lewis, day one, what was your final record and what was your toughest matchup? Who was your toughest matchup?
All right. So my record day one was 6-1-1. Ended up 8th place after Swiss. My toughest matchup was Chalupa. Funny enough, right? He caught me off guard game 2 with his first place medal. I didn't know those cards were illegal at the time. So when he played that, I was like, wait, what does that do? And when I was playing against him, I thought I was fine. I was sitting at 800 health. I'm like, I'm waiting for a Wahila to clear his board. I'll be all set. He dropped that. I looked at it. I was like, all your Bs get how much? And I was like, all right, we can go into the next game. And then game 3, he was able to establish Wood Devil Power Bread, and I just couldn't play the game after that.
Yeah, that's that combination right there can be, all she wrote in type of ways. But I never got a chance to actually play him at all. And I went X11 as well. And so it was interesting because I heard about, the combination, and like when I played Easton day 1, I New Year's his medal and his when I played him I think that was game 2, and I was like, oh, I see what you're doing here. And so like, the siding and stuff like that, it's like those cards like New Year's New Beginning, helps you out so much to be able to know what people are attacking if you can see that graveyard as well to be prepared for stuff. So I saw that he was playing in Hateful Demise, and I was just like, okay, I need to be prepared for that. You can't really stop it, but I need to make sure that I put something in it additional. So the Metal Man's definitely helped main decking. That's something that we did.
Yes.
Yeah, Metal Man very clutch. Being a 72 drop with 50 attack was great. But real quick, thanks to everybody who's watching the video so far. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, hit us up on our Instagrams. We'll be happy to answer any more questions, especially if you're interested in jumping on. If you have any questions, please hit us up. But back to it, Luis, I did like that your deck made it into it. We played around with Morpheus. We weren't trying to use it too much because I think we came up with a few ways to get around it with Lightning. I know we're comfortable with that.
Yes.
So I didn't know how else you were going to be comfortable with it, but hearing that one of the things I didn't like about the whole top 32 thing was if they did change that rule, like it happened, you had to have your own stuff and you're kind of stuck in what you were building. So I didn't personally like the whole Swiss format. Did you like that? Would you prefer like a straight 32 normal style, I guess what we used to in Yu-Gi-Oh?
So I agree with you on there. I didn't like how it was a Swiss format either. And most competitive events that I've played in, it's top cut, and especially when you have such a big prize pool on the line, it would be nice to have a top cut. I did speak to Kevin about this a little bit at the event while I was in top cut, and he said the reason it was in a Swiss format was really just in case someone kind of drew bad, because in the game there's variance and there's going to be times where you just don't draw aura, and it feels bad to lose like that. And I think if they wanted a system in place where they wanted to like not have someone kind of get bad luck with the variance, they could have done double elimination. I feel like that might have been fine, but I definitely think top cut over Swiss would have been the best option.
Yep, I agree. Logan, what do you?
I agree too, but this is one stipulation that happened, right? So we have draws in this game.
We do.
I had one draw against Chang in top 8. I guess, because if you did it all right, it was like top 8 then. And so then I had, I played Easton right at that in the semifinals. And so like these draws, I mean, something's got to change with the whole draws. Like, to be honest with you, I've talked about it all weekend. I was at a tournament this weekend, and for someone to, when you draw out of cards, I think it should be highest life points. I don't think it should be like y'all both draw out and then you start a new game. And so that's what happened to us, is that we actually our life points were the same. And so I think if we could have played it out, things could have changed. But I think that draw thing is going to, take an effect. And think about if you have multiple draws in a top 32 Swiss.
Yep.
So it's just something to think about. I know, MetaZoo's working on everything. I know Kevin's doing a great job. He's taking notes, him and Logan as well. And, I just appreciate what they're doing. They do listen to the community and they just make things better, like a Rata list. Isn't that right, Herman?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. For those of y'all who don't know, like Boyd spell was something that was going to be huge until we asked the question of, does it do what we think it does? They don't answer us for 2 weeks. And then, oh, look, there's a new errata list. Like, great.
Yeah.
No. We had good argument for it. Kevin knew we had good argument for that one.
Because it says page, not pages.
They do pay attention. We're glad that they do, and they let people talk to them about it. They're pretty open and solid about taking that kind of feedback and putting it in how they can do it the best way they can, I feel.
Guys, I want to move a little bit further on these 3 questions. These are big questions for all of us, especially as competitive players, especially as people that are figures in this game. But Mike and MetaZoo mentioned what the prize pool is going to be for Caster Cup 2023. They said 1.25 million for Caster Cup.
Woo!
Top 8 is not getting. I mean, that's a different bag. Or I heard Michael say purse in the overseas in Europe as well. That's what they use. That's a big cap. Yeah. But what's your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think maybe like, I like towers. I like what he's talking about, the regionals, but you think maybe they should spread that out? I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Lewis?
I personally think like it's definitely a great opportunity for whoever gets to compete. I definitely think it should have been spread out though, personally, especially with there being no events until 2023. You want to pull in all these new players, and new players are going to want events. They're going to want to be able to test outside of their locals. They want to have that higher quality gameplay of like very competitive people, and even to compete for like big prizes. And if they were to split up that prizing to other like tournaments, that'd be great. Whether it be regionals, something that's like in the middle of like a Casters Cup and a regional, that would be really good for the game.
I agree that I think it could be spread out. Especially, I've talked to the community about it in Texas, where it could be the Caster Series. They already are plugged in. Yeah, the Caster Series, and then you have the Caster Cup at the end or whatever it's going to be. And you're already set up for 6 events. So one idea that was brought up was you take 250K, and you use that to get the infrastructure you need, whether it's for more spacing in Collecticon and getting the staff out there that they need. And then you use the million for 6 spots. So you'll do 5 Caster Cup style 100K, and then you do a 500,000 Caster's Cup itself. So that's your 6 events. We don't necessarily need it all in one spot. And I also think that it'll keep that fire burning that they got from I mean, you had to stay 2 hours of open registration later than it was supposed to be. Everybody was ready for it. They didn't have, like, they had to ship out extra mats and stuff like that. It was great seeing it all full. But I feel like it kind of just it was like a wave instead of kind of like just a peak, just coming up on a graph. You know what I mean? Because of like interest and stuff. I know people have just fallen back and like, we want more, but what do we play? Like, so I'd be excited to see if they would do something like that. It doesn't even have to be huge. Like if they would have came out with at Long Beach instead of I hear learn to play events, go back to doing some other things. I wouldn't even care if it's money, just like something that could get this attention that you have.
Something that's tangible that we all can look at and we go, look at me. As competitors, can we just be honest? As competitors, that's what we want. And I'm just saying from a standpoint as a competitor and a player in this game and playing, because my experience is from Yu-Gi-Oh! There's nothing like going to a regionals, playing all day and just, winning that mat. But if what MetaZoo can do is something totally different than any other card game. I mean, they put their money where their mouth was, and I appreciate 100%. That. And so I believe if they take that same concept, spread it out where we have an event to go to every month, there's no way that other TCG players from other card games are not going to come over and play this game. If there's a $50,000 tournament per month, I'm telling you right now, we will not be seeing 380. We'll be seeing 5,000 people at the Caster Cup if they did that. Oh yeah. And that's how you build momentum. I don't think taking off for, 6 months, stuff like that. I understand, but maybe this is time for the community to step up and help MetaZoo and show MetaZoo what we want. Kind of leading into my next question, I mentioned no towers until 2023. So what do we need? What do LGSs need? What do the competitive players need? And I think we need a monthly hurrah for us all to go to, play test our decks, and see who the best caster is for that month. That's what we want to do. That's what we play test for. And I think
so. What would you need, Lewis? What would you need to show up what would be the prize support to show out once a month at an event that builds up maybe to a circuit or something? Just like something. What would you need to show up?
All right, what I need. So I guess location is one. Something convenient. If it's going to be a monthly thing in different areas, convenience is the key for that. Whatever's more convenient for people to be able to travel to. I would say a decent price support, because that would be incentive for people to travel. And honestly, like the thing at the end of the day, the travel experience is really what a lot of people are looking for, especially with the way like COVID has been, and like COVID has killed events, obviously. And Dallas was such a fresh air, like not having been to an event forever and then being able to go to Dallas and just having the experience with everybody was just so much fun. So like, even if it's like a mini Dallas, like it would be amazing. So a small price support, really competitive gameplay. I feel like that'd be what would be needed.
Okay, so it sounds like we don't necessarily need 10K. It could be a 1K or 5K as long as it's regional to you. Okay, good.
And then like maybe even some promos.
I agree. See, that's what I like more than anything. That's what got me back in with the medals. I was like, oh, these medals actually do something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Used to do. Like, I can play this. Crush cards. My goodness. I love that. I like the promo. The promo would actually get me to travel more than like the money would. Like for a price package, if it was like 10K, that makes sense traveling as a competitive player, because first place, like 3K to 5K, somewhere around there. And it would make sense for top 8. But the card though, that gives, it has value just to players and to collectors. So we get to go, ha. Especially, I think that if the MetaTalk did the promo to tie in, as that could possibly be your qualifier card, like a mat or something. I don't necessarily would want to be a mat. I like that they have something in the works wonder if they accidentally released one, like the Archcaster or something, where you get a free entry into the worlds or whatever that. But I do think I would like to see the meshing of a promo package or a tournament package for LGSs.
So here's this.
One
Here's
idea.
this idea.
Yep.
What if we had, just like we had back in the day in Yu-Gi-Oh, they took the concept of making top 16 or top 8 at these events, and then they ran like little actual qualifiers. So you have to get into these towers, right? Those towers actually have cash prizes, right? And this is how you're getting qualified for the Caster Cup. You have to have that mat. If you don't have that mat, you don't qualify. So now here brings the stipulation. Can that mat be sold? Can that mat, you know what I mean? Does it have to be that person on there? Like, there's a lot of stuff that allows, the wow factor of the game to develop. But I do agree with y'all both. I think we're on the same page, is that we do need something monthly we can go to. And I asked you for this. You said it's something convenient. Now, what would get you to go from here to California? That's the biggest question to me. What would get you to go back to Dallas?
So getting back to Dallas, it would just have to be something reasonable. Like, if I'm gonna go to Long Beach, I'm definitely gonna need some sort of like incentive in terms of price support, because that's a lot more expensive for me to travel compared to Dallas.
Would that be a booster box, or would that be a special medal?
Okay, I like where this is going.
You see what I'm building here?
Yes, the special medals are definitely more incentive than a booster box.
What about you?
So
Herman?
I would be on the lines of the special medal, or like any special tokens, whatnot.
I'm on the same wavelength there. The special medals would be very interesting, depending on what the medal does, if it gets you into something later. I really don't care, as long as it's kind of playable and not something like you get like participation medal. Like the +5/+5 is cute, but it's cool because it has Squonk on it, and it was like the first generation. At Long Beach, like for where I'm at, it's like $500 to fly right now. And you're in California, everything twice as much as it is in Texas. So it's gonna cost me like $1,000, $1,500 just to get there and stay there. I'd like it to be something cool and unique, like the same thing that what got me to the game with this first, second, third place medals that actually did something, and they got even better when they errated them. So it's not always gonna be the money. So I do think like the monthly tournaments sound like a great idea, as long as they do have a promo support package. They don't necessarily have to have a cash package. Like 10Ks, I'll show up to 10Ks without a doubt. Like, I don't think I need any other product support. Like the Caster Cup was so insane because you got 250K in prizes in cash, and then the product on top of it. Like, it was just falling under a mountain of just stuff.
Exactly. I was saving this idea, but here's this. Now I'm going to add this because I know a lot of people are watching. A lot of people are wondering, what if there was a select medal, a select cryptid, for each part that you go to, and you can only get it if you win first, second, or third in that regional or that tower. And what if MetaZoo created a card that was like something that you only got through if you go to that location, and it actually was a playable card, and there's 3 different ones for first, second, and third.
That'd be really cool.
I would definitely give it like the ambassador style stuff they're doing that with like a NYC Rat King, where you got to show up and do things. That would be super interesting, especially if they stamp them so you know which one, like which year it was. They could use the same artwork for a couple of years if they wanted to, as long as it was like 2022, 2023, to kind of like keep the providence of it.
Correct. But make it
and it'll kind of be stamped.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I 100% agree with the playable side of it. Like all of these that could make MetaZoo like unique with some of their promo drops. Barbecue Stam, first anniversary celebration, New Year's New Beginnings. All these were fantastic promo drops that were limited. And I think they should be. Because it just keeps it interesting. It keeps collectors and players just kind of buzzing around these things that are still playable and necessary.
Yep.
Exactly. And this brings me to my last question before we into with the good, bad, and ugly. You heard me ask, will MetaZoo support LGSs by giving them special promo cards? So, with there not being any events, what can we do for the LGSs to all come together? Maybe create a circuit, right?
Yep.
Maybe talk to MetaZoo about supporting this circuit, and then having qualifiers that we go all over the US and Canada, by the way. Let's not leave out Canada. Okay. I think that there needs to be some support with LGSs, not just like boxes and boosters, but it needs to be something that's going to make people drive 3 hours to go to. You know what I mean?
Funny you mentioned 3 hours.
I say that, you know why.
So funny enough, I would say this last week I drove 2.5 hours to Jersey for a local at Cards to Go to meet up with some friends that we made at Dallas to support their store. And I mean, even though like it was traveling for a local, it was still such a lot of fun, and just like being able to see everybody again it was a great time. And like one thing that would be really cool, even if it's like a Store Wars kind of thing, right? Where like you Iron Man other stores, you meet up. We have like a 3v3 kind of style tournament, and just like with a cash prize or even with promos added. And I think that'd be a really good way to keep the game really competitive as well.
I'm looking for the day, Herman. I'm looking for the day that we do a 3-on-3 tournament of sponsored teams.
Yes.
See, me and Herman, we are no longer on a sponsored team, and so we've always talked about this, and we visualize this because we come from Yu-Gi-Oh. How cool it would be to have 3 versus 3, where you play one person, right, and it's like man up. If you get beat 2 out of 3, that person stays there, and then you have to.
Yeah. It's called a writing style, to where it's gladiator style basically. One person sits down from each team. You lose, that dude gets up, next man up. First person who loses all their teammates, the other team wins. Everybody got to have. You can't just have an empty seat. You got to have killers.
Yep.
I look forward to that. But like, what do you think that I have to travel. Herman's in Austin. I'm in Dallas. I travel 3 hours to go down for the tournaments in Austin. He travels here. We go to Houston. It's 3 hours. So I really truly believe if MetaZoo can support these LGSs and give them special promo cards. Doesn't have to be the medals. We don't want to devalue the medals, but specialty cards that make people travel. I think that's what we need, and I think that's what would get us to travel and to go to certain places, and then be able to see each other face to face again.
Yes, and I want to add to that. I think a good way they can do that is what you said, how each store could even maybe have their own kind of promo. That way it incentivizes you to go to different stores and not just your local for the same promo.
That would definitely be interesting, because then you get like the online trading scene back. Like, we're in Texas. Why wouldn't we get something with a horse and a cowboy hat? You're in Connecticut, like there's casinos everywhere. You got great woodland areas, forests. There's like, it's one of the, you got so much history right there. There are tons of cryptids everywhere. They could be regional a lot, kind of, where you just got to swap everybody, especially for the collector, to drive them nuts and get them to play this game.
Yes.
Everyone loves this game that have been playing it. I know more people are getting into it. They're kind of dipping their toes into it. But this segment always will be and always will end each episode on the good, the bad, and the ugly. And Lewis, I come to you, and this is the time to talk about what is good about MetaZoo, what is bad, and what is the ugly, and what can we help them, as players, to make the game even better for us.
All right. Well, we get started. All right. So for the good, one of the things I like about the good, the Casters Cup, the event itself was a lot of fun. I love the community. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I honestly, outside of the one story I heard, no toxic players. Everyone's really cool with each other. Everyone's really nice. When I was looking for cards at Dallas in line waiting to get in, people were just giving me the cards. They were like, "Don't worry about the price. Like, it's fine. It's whatever. Like, we're all here to have a good time. Like, here." And it's like how supportive like strangers are being to each other was like really nice and refreshing. And a lot of other games don't have that.
I agree with you. What's the bad?
The bad. I would say it was probably the delayed start time. Because everyone got out, I would say, what was it, like midnight almost, 1 a.m. To then have to play it in day 2 in the same time restraints. And if you didn't eat, I think we got back at our hotel at 4. No, we got back at like 2 or 3 a.m. and I didn't go to sleep till like 4 or 5 a.m. to wake up at 7, go play day 2. So it's just like I think
You had a
that
real
it was
TCG
that.
experience. For y'all who have never done that before, that is a real TCG experience, getting
Yep.
8 hours of sleep for the weekend and somehow functioning, actually being wired. All right,
I
now
think
what's
between the 2 days, I had maybe like 6 hours of sleep.
That's wild. All right, so what's the ugly?
All right, the ugly. I know we talked about this already. There it being Swiss day 2. And I think the more bigger part was the big ruling change about not being able to share cards. I think that really hurt because if people were relying on their teammates for cards, it really just kind of threw them under the bus where they're like, all right, I'm at a disadvantage now because other teams who had their cards with them, they're all set. My teammates can't give me my cards anymore because I think we're sectioned off. So it's like now I can't grab my cards from my team. I'm kind of stuck with whatever was in my backpack.
Yeah,
That's fair. That is fair. And honestly, that's not a very big ugly side compared to a lot of other TCGs. Like this is more of learning processes for them, in my opinion. So like that could have helped with like an hour notice. Like, oh, just put it in the bag real quick. Give me a suitcase or something. that was like avoidable.
This is a little controversial opinion. It's nothing crazy in terms of the ugly. My opinion, I would like them to maybe potentially have like a ban list maybe in the future. Because I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on this. Like Power Up Red and New Year's New Beginnings, I think those cards aren't healthy for the game personally. I don't know if you guys think the same thing.
I'm going to keep it on short on that one. I agree with you, but I think they allow people to come back. And so like, I think it is a good, bad, and ugly, right? It's a mixture because like you're using it and you get to come back, right? And then it's also ugly when it's being used against you. So I think there's a mix in there, but I think as we get more sets, you'll be surprised. Like remember in Yu-Gi-Oh, we have Axe of the Spare, right?
Yep.
and it's not relevant anymore. And so like I think as the game changes, as we get more sets, I think everything will kind of mellow itself out and we'll be able to play it, like you won't even look at it anymore as Power Up Red. You'll be like, okay, that's just like staple. Now we can play something, and they lose half their attack. And you're like, well, that, Power Up Red didn't do anything. Or Gumberoo finds a way to bounce it back, and then you're like, that was a waste of a card.
I'll keep it short on this one. Everything on here in MetaZoo was generated to be balanced. You do have outs against these cards, whether or not you have room for them. What's it called? Void Spell, Stop Power Up Red. I got hoed on that so bad. I didn't see it coming on. But getting my Power Up Red Void Spelled, I was sad. New Year's New Beginning, depending on the deck, we didn't run that card all the time. Because I
didn't run it for Dallas at all. I ran the normal New Beginnings.
Yeah, well, funny enough. For you, like you need Alaska Vortex. Like,
yeah, exactly.
The Icy Pass, like you gotta, it hurts you more than it helps you. So, But even with Prism Aura now, you can just dampen it. So I think it's just like an early stage thing to where it's gonna balance out more. We're gonna get cards that like do something if your opponent discards it, or you send it to the cemetery for you.
We will give them time.
Yeah.
Each set they're listening to us. With that, Herman and Lewis, I'm gonna wrap this up. MetaTalk episode 2 was great. I'm glad we can actually dive into some controversy questions, but I think we got to kind of dive in and give everyone a little feedback. Guys, we look forward to all the questions. Please go ahead, Luis. What is your Instagram? Let everyone know what your Instagram is.
My Instagram is Louis Kazooie, LuiKazooie.
Perfect. Guys, please follow. Great guy. Look forward to playing him in the future. Herman, we're gonna go ahead and log out. Guys, please subscribe. Look forward to the next episode. Everyone stay tuned. Take care.
Peace.
Catch you guys later.